Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today doing that Warframe noob thing once again, because of course last night, after a week's waiting, Plains of Eidolon finally dropped on the PC, and that's a pretty big frickin' deal. I got to play a small chunk of it last night, but an even larger chunk this morning, and within the first half an hour, honestly, of actually heading out into the plains and engaging in combat for the first time, I felt I had a lot of things I wanted to say, so I figured I'd sit down this morning and bring you guys my very early initial impressions of Plains of Eidolon as a more casual Warframe player. Keep that in mind, I'm not a vet, I'm not some hardcore 1,000-hour guy. I've been playing Warframe since launch, but I've only just gotten into the game about a month or two ago, so I'm just around the 100-hour mark. Basically, Plains of Eidolon for me is if I've been sitting down reading a 50-chapter book, and the author decides to write and publish a 51st chapter, and I'm only on chapter 2. That's basically me, but more content's always great, especially when it's a giant freaking open world. And I think at face value, that's the number one thing we've all been talking about. Plains of Eidolon is an open world. More importantly, it's the first ever handcrafted environment that DE has done for Warframe. That means that when you jump into Cetus and then make your way into the plains themselves, the whole experience is really quite special. It feels organic. It feels alive. For the very first time, you feel like you're in a location that could potentially exist somewhere in some fantastical sci-fi universe. It doesn't feel like a corridor or the surface of a planet that was generated by some numbers, simply because it wasn't. And that alone lends itself to Eidolon, Cetus, the whole experience being really, really properly special. Like something that you just didn't ever expect to see in Warframe, but it's here, and it's really, really fun. Now, I've only put in a small chunk of time, but the thing that I want to point out to you guys is just how much of a game changer Plains of Eidolon actually is for Warframe. Again, let's not just focus on the fact that we have this big handcrafted open world environment. Hell, let's not even focus on the addition of the nighttime stuff like the Eidolon endgame content, or the ability to use Arcwing as a Skywing now, or fishing, or any of the new features that have been implemented with the update. Let's focus on how the open world itself, its geometry, its landscape, the way enemies are located within it, the way and the types of missions that you can run during the daytime in it, now affect and alter all of the gameplay components that have already been established inside of Warframe. Shooting, movement, the different weapons and the different mods that go with those weapons, the different frames and the mods that go with those frames, difficulty, and how it's all now going to be shifted just enough to make it feel like something completely new because of this open world environment. Let me give you a really great example. The first thing I did when I headed out into the plains was grabbed a bounty. The lowest level bounty has you go out and hack a drone and then escort that drone while dealing with more and more waves of Grineer trying to hunt you down. Now, this isn't a corridor. This isn't the small, slightly non-linear passageways of the surface of some planet in old school Warframe. Enemies can hit you from every single direction, horizontally and vertically. They can engage targets that you may be protecting or escorting from a relatively great distance. You might find yourself hiking up the side of a frickin' hill at some absurd angle while trying to take down a flying Grineer with your Vasto and then switching back to your hack-up to clean another wave up. You'll find that movement feels mandatory in this specific type of engagement, where you need to eliminate all of the targets as quickly as possible because you can't just turn the corner with your drone and be safe from enemy gunfire. I was dealing with targets on the initial edge of the Plains of Eidolon. They're not difficult. As you get farther into the plains themselves, the Grineer become more powerful. I can kill them in like one shot at pretty good range with my hack. The difficulty now came from the environment and the factors that were coming into play because of that open world design, because of the freedom the enemies had to move, to flank, and to engage me. That alone, I think, is a really clear indicator for just how much good the open world is going to do Warframe's combat, which a lot of people, I think, will openly admit Warframe isn't like directly challenging when it comes to its combat. It's more so about dealing with spongy enemy types or enemy types in large quantities. Occasionally you do have an actually difficult mission or engagement, but now Plains of Eidolon feels like you're going to have many more of those. Engagements that are driven by mechanics and by the nature of the engagement environment rather than just by how much HP an enemy has. That's pretty cool, and that of course is going to influence every other aspect of Warframe that you've come to love and know. Your favorite weapons, again, the mods you might equip with those things. This is going to be a really cool long-term change for the game, and I'm really excited to see how a lot of the veterans are looking at this stuff, which is why I have a huge question to ask all of you guys while we're doing this video today. What are your first impressions of Plains of Eidolon? How has the game felt to you? Have you noticed any substantial changes, and how do you feel this is going to influence the way you play, whether it be weapon selection, mod selection, or Warframe selection going forward? Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, I, of course, just started scratching the surface of Plains of Eidolon. There are harder enemies to face, there are more bounties to complete, there's a bunch of reputation and different sort of currencies to unlock to actually gain access to the things the Ostron have to give us, including fishing equipment, which I'm really excited about. The idea of doing fishing videos, kind of like WoW Krendor does with WoW, really have me excited, not to mention getting my Sky Arc Wing and seeing just how much fun I can have at nighttime, even though I'm nowhere near geared or equipped to actually go out and hunt down an Eidolon with another group of players. This is undoubtedly something very special that DE has done with Warframe, and I don't think anyone is going to know just how special Plains of Eidolon is until we're sitting in a very different Warframe, maybe many years from now. This to me marks one giant step forward for what could be a future where Warframe is a full-fledged MMO RPG third-person shooter experience. Maybe the first of its kind on a scale that no other game in this genre has done before. I really do think it could become something even more special than it's already become. The steps, the leaps and bounds that DE has made remind me of the leaps and bounds that CD Projekt made with The Witcher, from The Witcher to The Witcher 2 to The Witcher 3. Massive changes and alterations to the core experience to make something new and special that was decidedly familiar. That's how I feel about Warframe Plains of Eidolon, even as a more casual player with just 100 hours in the game. It just is noticeably special, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into more of it. Maybe I'll see you guys in a couple days for a nice little casual fishing video. You ever sit on the side of a lake somewhere and spear a dangerous fish while wearing Tenno armor? Me neither, but it'd probably be a good story. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, guys. Let me know your initial impressions of Plains of Eidolon. Maybe I'll see you walking around the market in Cetus, which, let me just once again iterate how fantastic the audiovisual presentation of that whole damn place is. There's something really staggeringly fun, is the best way to put it. Let's just keep it simple. Fun about walking into Cetus after a day's worth of adventuring out in the plains, getting your rewards, seeing all the other Tenno there, hearing the shopkeepers. And in case you didn't know, the lady who sells the fishing gear, she thinks she should have been a plumber. Maybe somebody should help her go down that passion journey and get the job she always wanted. I mean, I'd gladly sit in a vendor station and sell fishing gear to people all day long. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, remember to play smart, remember to play to challenge yourself, but most importantly, remember to play for fun.